Yep.
And then the Zoom and the other one are recording?
Everything's recording. What's this? What are we doing right now?
We made me do it. What's up?
I was just wondering what we're about to do.
And we are back after a very quick break through the magic of audio editing with the 2AM Burrito podcast with Kenny and Lou. The crazy shit aside, some incredible stuff also happening in the world as we get closer to a COVID vaccine. And also, they actually launched people into space yesterday, I think. You can actually go on YouTube and there's a live stream where you can look at the astronauts' feet. But it's, and then everybody was trying to copy the Andy Milonakis tweet, which was, congratulations to the astronauts that left Earth. Good choice by them. Because of all the shit obviously that's happening. It was actually became, I think, the third most liked tweet of all time, behind two tweets by Kenny, who has the top two most liked tweets of all time.
Was that one? Did Trump win one? With that F whatever
Coffee Fifi?
Kakafifi? Did that
No,
get
that did not
there?
get 3 million likes.
Okay. Maybe.
It was actually Barack Hussein Obama has the top two most liked tweets. And then Andy Milonakis comes in at number 3 with a tweet that happened yesterday. Or anyway.
I think I knew that Obama thing, but I didn't know about the Andy.
Obama is a long... Did you ever hear that? I think they used to play the clip on the Stern Show, but there was a black minister that used to say, Obama is a long-legged Mac Daddy. And all he wants to do is fuck all the white women or some shit.
Long-legged Mac Daddy.
That's what they call him. He's a long-legged Mac Daddy.
Is he really even that tall?
I mean, he looks kind of long-legged, right?
Yeah.
Plays ball.
I guess.
Space and obviously Space Force. Your thoughts, Kenny? Good for the astronauts?
I mean, I keep hearing about all these rich people be able to like pay thousands or millions or however much it costs to be able to get their first ticket up there and all that stuff. So it's almost like, what's it good for me? Like, I'm not gonna be able to do it anytime soon.
You gotta take pride in the space program.
I'm not gonna want to, even if I do have the money, which I plan on having the money. But shit.
Gattaca.
Why?
Underrated space movie.
Why now? Not anytime soon. I'll go in 2040 or something like that.
It'll be your retirement trip to Mars.
When I could teleport up there.
In the 2AM Burrito extended universe, Mars is an actual travel destination. I don't know if you know that. In Slapworthy, there's a bit where Sophia's character is crying over Hank, Dominic's character, because she's watching social media posts between that him and his girl are putting up, and one of them is Hank and Sally is what we called her. I was about to say, did I call her Karen? No, I called her Sally.
Karen.
It's Hank and Sally, and it's like this bright red background, and me and Ty did it so that her caption is, Mars, it's so beautiful here. Like, okay, so, and then, so in the 2AM Burrito extended universe, Mars is an actual travel destination that you can take a chick on a date on.
Nice.
FYI, just so you know. I'll show you the clip later. But, I don't know. I think that it's a cool thing that people are going back into space, because the way we're fucking up this country, eventually we're going to need an exit strategy.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah,
start building buildings on top of water if possible. But, I mean,
if I'm rich, the one thing I will spend my money on, if I have like $1 billion, is for the Futurama head in a glass case, and then you can put me on like some metallic avatar, so I can just walk around just like my old ass head sitting on top of a fucking metallized body.
Right.
Hey, just I just want to see what's going on. Send me a message. Let me know. The other thing that happened this past week that was interesting. I don't know if I told you. I told you guys about it, but I don't know did you watch the Some Good News with John Krasinski, the guy from The Office?
No, I didn't. I didn't get to that one yet.
So basically, he started a YouTube channel, and he's a guy, and basically he got together like the cast of Hamilton for like somebody's prom, and he got the cast of The Office together to kind of do a virtual Zoom wedding with this couple, and he basically was just focusing on good news. The show was literally called Some Good News, and he did about 4 episodes of them. And they were cheaply produced. I mean, that was basically what we're doing.
Yeah.
But instead of me and you, it was like me and you, and then they would have, Steve Carell from The Office, because he had that juice, because he's fucking John Krasinski. But a curious thing happened to Some Good News, which is it became super popular, right? And it sort of became a brand. So he branded it, copyrighted it, and then there was a bidding war from like HBO Max, Hulu, Netflix, and eventually CBS Viacom, I think, bought the rights and bought the show Some Good News. So this little internet show that sort of like literally, dude, like the stories they would tell, you'd be like, oh, why'd I chop all these onions? You know, it was like, I sent him my keys. Because they would be like such with all the shit going on, it was actually like a cool, heartfelt story. And, I'm a sucker for a heartfelt story. And it would get me every fucking time. But then it was like, he had to get a shit ton of money because he sold out. And he's not going to be the host anymore. And he said he might appear on air. But basically, they're like, you created something, and now you created something out of the goodness out of your heart. But now it's worth money. And he was like, he could have been like, okay, I can keep making this show on my own. And all the merchandise and stuff they were selling and all the stuff they were doing was going to charity and stuff like that. So he was like, he had that decision to make. And it couldn't have been, and even though it was a homemade show, the production needed to coordinate all these different people's schedules and Zoom calls and shit like that. Couldn't have been easy. No, right? So he did 4 episodes of the show, but it probably took way longer to do than he thought so. And he's already got the Jack Ryan show on Amazon. He's already got all kinds of residual money coming in from The Office, because that ran for like 9 seasons. Right? Yeah. And he was like, I could keep making this show, not make any money, do it for the good of the people, or I could take this giant money check that CBS just threw at me and say, peace out. And he said, peace out. So Some Good News, in essence, sold out. I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if I want to go full like, you sell out. He should have kept doing the show, because I can understand how difficult a show like this is to make. And just not adding any video, it still takes me a while to edit and render and chop out all my racist comments that I make from time to time that I have to cut out. So I can imagine making a show from home about stuff like that would be tough. But go back, even if you go back, I think there's only 4 episodes, and watch and skim through it. Like, it's some really cool stuff, because basically all it is just good news from the week. So it'll be like little kids dancing and blah blah blah, and like, there's still sports going on as this father and son fucking had a hockey tournament. You know what I mean? Just shit like that. And it's really well done, man. Now, what we gonna do? Can you move back around? Is Joe Rogan's punk ass thinking out loud?
Oh my god. They were clowning him so bad.
Dude, he just got a shit ton of money. He just got so much fucking money. The Joe Rogan Experience. I watched some of the episodes, but now it's but he puts his episodes on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast.
Yeah.
All the sounds are recording, right? But
all the sounds are recording.
But also on YouTube. And now he signed a deal with Spotify, so his new episodes of the podcast are going to be exclusively on Spotify, and that had to be for a shit ton of money, because he is one, along with like Adam Carolla and his podcast, and the What the Fuck podcast, and a couple of others. But, you know, Joe Rogan Experience going off of YouTube, so we're here to fill that void.
Hey, now.
Hey, need to get that Spotify money.
That'd be awesome.
So, you know, this is a segment I call My Week in Media, where I talk about just the stuff that I consumed over the past week and how I felt about it. Sometimes new stuff that is just now getting out there, old stuff that I rewatched, and stuff that missed me when it came out that I, you know, somehow, for some reason or whatever, I didn't watch it. So the first thing that came to my mind, or the first thing that I watched this week, which actually I watched again, because the first time I watched it, it was sort of on in the background. That happens to me a lot, because I'll have a movie on in the background and I'll be half paying attention to it, and I'll have to rewatch it again or go backwards and sort of get caught back up. But the John Gotti movie that's on Amazon with John Travolta. And I didn't hate it, even though it's got like a 0 rating on
Rotten Tomatoes
and like a 46% audience score. I did not hate it. And I don't know if that's because I default to liking gangster movies and mafia movies. But the one curious thing about it was it's always funny when you see a movie that has a lot of like highly recognizable licensed songs, because I know how much it costs to even look for a song that's not even that recognizable that you want to put in a movie, and it'll be thousands of dollars for just a very unrecognizable song. And you've heard like in Mad Men, they wanted to use a Beatles song for a final episodes of a season, and I think it was like $500,000 or $2 million, some ridiculous amount of money, just so they could license one Beatles song to use in a TV show. So there were so many recognizable 80s pop songs as a part of this movie that it felt sort of weird, because they were like, okay, we get it. A lot of this takes place, the rise of John Gotti takes place, and the legend of John Gotti, I guess, as a guy that came from the streets and sort of became a mob boss. John Travolta does a credible job, I think. He plays him with like his anger level up to 10 the whole time. And I think the one sort of shortcoming is the kid that they got to play his son, because I think those were some of the weaker scenes that I fast forwarded through, because basically it's framed around John Gotti in prison already, talking to his son, who's now facing like a federal trial. And basically John Gotti was always nicknamed the Teflon Don, because he would go to trial and then his people would bribe or threaten a juror or what have you, and he would always, or the prosecutor would just not be horrible at their job, and he got off. He got off all the time, so they call him the Teflon Don, because nothing could stick to him. And I understand that a lot of his stuff takes place in the 80s. So the two things that I didn't like the scenes with him and the actor who played his son, because I thought they were drawn out, and the kid's acting was not on par with John Travolta's. So it was just sort of a mismatch of them two together.
Yeah.
And the second part I didn't like or I didn't understand, was because I am, by default, I will like pretty much every mafia movie, was the 80s music that was in. So they were going for this mood, but then it would be like, like this real pop, like 80s bubblegum sort of music playing on in the background. So sometimes the music didn't match the actions, it didn't match the theme of the movie as well as it could have. So I think there There's just something weird going on there in terms of the decisions they made musically. But I know you saw some previews and some stuff about it, but you didn't actually get around to watching it, right?
No, but I did hear about it, and I saw some reviews about it, and yeah, none of it was good.
No.
You're the first person that actually gave any positivity towards it, so I was a little surprised. But I understand.
You don't want to talk about bad about the Gambino family.
No, yeah.
Not that there's anything like, we all know the mafia doesn't exist, so it doesn't even matter really what I'm talking about. It's a big fantasy that they came out. Free John Gotti, all that good stuff. But as far as the movie goes, I don't know. If you really like mob movies and you're into like true crime and stuff like that, I don't think it's I think it's on Amazon Prime. It's worth a watch. I don't think you're gonna be like, oh my god, this is like the new Scarface. They treated it like it was. They definitely shot it and kind of made it seem like it was, but they didn't do a lot of. I mean, there wasn't even like a lot of violence in it. It was just a lot of, a lot of stuff. I think also it was, and this is something that I had a complaint about in terms of the MJ documentary. It seemed to be from the point of view of the Gotti family. In terms of, ever since then there's a guy, I don't remember the company name, but I can find it. This is where I do the magic of editing and I make myself sound like a person that's very smart, because in the actual podcast there'll be just a cut and then I'll immediately remember the name of the guy. It's a company called Value Entertainment. And this dude Patrick David interviewed like hitmen for John Gotti, and interviewed like the guy that played the guy that was the original. That was the guy that Frank Vincent played in Casino, which was Joe Pesci's right hand man. He's the guy that also played a gangster in The Sopranos as well. So from hearing a bunch of other interviews from people that were, and even the interview that he did with Sammy the Bull Gravano, you get a different idea of John Gotti's life. But so I think that the Gotti movie was obviously taken from their perspective, which I think diminishes it a little bit. But I think it's still, give it like a 5.5 or 6. You got yourself a nice gabagool sandwich and some prosciutto.
That's what people were saying.
Maybe a Taylor ham sandwich. No, you can sit down and watch the movie. It's on Amazon. It's free. You could do worse. I saw another movie called The Gift. There's a couple of them. This one's the one with Justin Bateman, and you know him from Ozark. But is it Justin Bateman, right? Or Dustin Bateman? No, it's Justin Bateman.
I'm not sure, but I know who you're talking about.
Jason Bateman.
Yeah,
Jason Bateman.
Jason
Bateman? See, then I cut all that out. It makes me sound smart. Jason Bateman, because it feels like he's maybe like the new Pacino, not in terms of skills, but in terms of an actor who it feels. I don't know if this is a diss on Jason Bateman, because I actually like him from Arrested Development, obviously. But in Arrested Development, he's like deadpan, like matter-of-factly, He plays like the straight man. In Ozark, he's this sort of like kind of evil genius, but trying not to be evil. And in this movie, he plays sort of like a combination of the two. It's about a guy who used to be a bully in high school and bullied this kid something horrible. And then he moves to a new town and the kid is there. Not the kid, but a grown-up version of the kid. And the guy sort of tries to get himself into his life. And his wife doesn't really know about the kind of person he is. But it just sort of struck me as Jason Bateman seems to almost always play a very similar version of the same character, or plays every character in a similar way. And I think that when you hire Jason Bateman, even in like Horrible Bosses, he's always sort of he's like a reserved guy, but he gets pushed to the edge and, he sort of has to take actions, but, for some reason, he doesn't seem to get lost in the characters for me. He never, Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright is an actor who, to me, loses himself in the character. Jeffrey Wright is, I believe, one of the top 3 actors currently alive. Myself, obviously, my favorite movie of him is one of my favorite movies of all time, Basquiat, where he completely dissolves into the Jean-Michel Basquiat character to the point where you can watch that and then you can watch some of the Basquiat, like Radiant Child, or a couple of the other Basquiat documentaries that are out there, and he will seem like he's doing just an imitation of him, but I really think he lost himself into that character. He was in Shaft. Remember, he played Peoples.
Yeah, I remember that.
So he played a Dominican guy in Shaft. He's playing James Gordon in the new Batman movie. He played
the super duper nerdy guy in Hunger Games.
Yeah, they must have just backed up the fucking truckload of money for him to be in that. The same with, because by that time he was already, he was in Westworld, played Bernard. But everything that he plays, he sort of just loses himself into that character. But there was a recent movie, All Day and the Night, where he plays like basically an LA, just crackhead gangster from the 90s, or just a guy that was on some shit. And it was the first time where I said, damn, I can sort of tell that's Jeffrey Wright in that role, and I'm not lost in it. He did a really good job, but it was the first time where I was like, I don't feel like I think, and it was only a very specific part of that movie where he just didn't seem believable to me in the role for like a split second, but the rest of it, and I feel it's like dirty sort of nitpicking him, because I think he's literally like my favorite living actor right now. All Day and a Night is a new Netflix movie that is centered around an inner city family in Oakland. It's not LA, it's Oakland. And basically, I enjoyed it. It was very slow paced, and it had a decent sort of message. But it's basically about a father and a son that both end up doing life together. And how sort of they get to that point. But Jeffrey Wright, I think, is kind of the antithesis of Jason Bateman, if that makes sense. So not to shit on Jason Bateman, but I just sort of feel like, why do I feel like he's very similar? I would love to have him do just a stretch where he just acts differently. I just feel like every character that he does is so close to each other. I don't know. What do you think, Kenny?
Yeah, I mean, I always feel like that. I definitely will always want actors that kind of get in playing the actors that play the same roles. I always want them to definitely stretch and discover other,
It's like they said about Pacino, basically. Like do. After Scent of a Woman, he was sort of he's playing a different version of himself because he had gone full Pacino, and so every other character was like, and Jason Bateman, every character is like, oh my God, let me, I don't know, I can't even do a good Jason Bateman impersonation. He just seems very kind of mechanical,
Yeah, like as an actor, I root for actors. Like I get excited when I see an actor progress and get better and all that good stuff. And example like Ryan Reynolds or something like that. Like, man, that guy, he has some talent, naturally funny and all that good stuff. But man, like he's the same. Yeah, come on. It's just if he could probably make you laugh like in person, just like I don't know. But anyway,
Yeah, so Jason
my
Reynolds
point.
is basically is basically now Deadpool in every movie that he plays.
Every movie,
Right.
and I'm like, bro, like, come on, stretch it out, like,
And Jason Bateman is basically his character from Arrested Development, no matter where you put him.
yeah, like I loved it when The Rock played that one role, and like he was like a cokehead, a crackhead, or something like that. Fucking with
In the new Fast and Furious one.
not Fast and Furious one. He was
And about The Rock.
The Rock, yeah, Dwayne Johnson. He was with what's his name, Mark Wahlberg, I think.
Falling Down or not Falling Down.
Whatever that was. It was like Miami.
Pump and Grind or
Yeah.
Pain and Gain, Pain and Glory.
Man, he did a really good job. Like I've seen people.
I haven't seen that movie.
You haven't?
No, that's hey, you got me. You got a movie that I haven't.
It's
seen.
not like it's like not the best movie ever, but The Rock, like he does such a good job. Like
Put it on my movies.
like
that I
I've
list.
seen people who do coke and sniff it and all that, and what it does to them, how they move, how they twitch, how they move their mouth and how they look and like all that stuff. Like
So you're saying a Hollywood actor somehow was able to understand what it feels like to be on coke? No, I wonder where they saw that.
I know, right? But he I know, maybe he went method. Who knows? Hey.
I always say I love method actors. I just hate actors on meth, and that's my joke. But yeah, I know, I understand. So not to shit on Jason Bateman, who I mistakenly called Justin Bateman, or I was thinking about Justine Bateman from Family Matters or Family Ties, right? The next movie that I saw that is one of the ones that I had missed when it came out was Legend, which is Tom Hardy, where he plays twins. He plays two English gangsters that are twin brothers, and he plays both parts. So I was more interested in sort of the camera techniques that they were using to be able to have them interact in scenes together. And I felt like he did a good enough job distinguishing the two characters from each other. I just was not vested in the story. For some reason, I just did not enjoy it as much as I thought I would. Love gangster movies, love English movies. Fan of Tom Hardy, but for some reason, put together Legend just didn't work for me. Hey, did you see that one or no?
I didn't know.
Well, trust me, it sucks. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. Unfortunately, I didn't even get through it.
But you did like the camera angles.
I liked it technically, and I thought that what they did and how they did and made him play two different characters was seamless. It looked seamless. It looked very well done.
Did the whole body double thing and all that stuff.
Well, I think I think what they did is if you have precise camera movements that you can match from one shot to the next, you can have him on one side of the room and then on the other side of the room the next take, and I mean, it's very easy to do in a static shot. We could do a shot with you here and then move you to right here and then keep that same static shot. And then you can blend the two shots together as long as the lighting and everything else is in the same.
Yeah.
And you can get that exact look when you're on set, when you have a budget. So I don't think they had a lot of body doubles or transposed his face to the other one. I don't think, because I didn't note any CGI from what I was watching. I'm sure there was some involved. It just felt like if they were shooting him in the car, they just had the camera angle and the car movement, and they just shot it one time with him here and one time with him there. And it worked. It was fine for me. So, but for me, once I forgot that I was sort of enamored with the techniques they were using for that, then the fact that I wasn't enjoying the movie sort of overcame that. And I rewatched Tusk. Are you familiar with Tusk?
I looked it up.
Tusk is a
Because
movie.
of you.
It's a Kevin Smith movie.
A review. I watched the whole review for you.
So Tusk is a movie that was created basically on a dare. It was on the Smodcast podcast with Kevin Smith, and they were talking about what the worst concept for a movie that they could possibly make would be. and they just sort of spitball these ideas around, and they came with this idea of a guy that got kidnapped by this crazy guy that wanted to turn him into a fucking walrus. Johnny Depp is in it.
Bro, like, I was like, at first, because I think whatever the review was, they showed like a trailer first, and the trailer like built, it was building up to some stuff, and I was like, is this like a misery? Is this Misery? Are they doing Misery? At first,
kinda. It's a
little
Misery-ish.
And then it went sideways, and I was like, "What happened? Like, this is not what's going on here."
It's a movie that takes the premise very serious, but then busts comedy in wherever it can. So, and I like these sort of offshoot Kevin Smith movies. Like, I really enjoyed Blue State, or was it Red State, which was his sort of political. That's another good movie to watch. Political sort of dark comedy horror kind of slash movie. It is actually, I enjoyed it, and so I'm a Kevin Smith fanboy. So I the fact that I watched this movie twice has to say something, because I just didn't remember it. I was like, did I really remember what Tusk was from the one time I watched it? And then I rewatched it, and I was like, yeah. But there's some brilliant moments in it. There's some really cool stuff, like when the guy basically just has to accept the fact that he's a walrus now because they can't reverse it, and him just getting all happy because they just threw a piece of fish in his. It's just a very trippy movie. Like, you need hard drugs for that.
It seemed like it, like smoking my eye. It seemed like it. I was tripping out. Like, I'm like, what am I watching? Like, and then as I'm saying, what am I watching? The guy who's doing the review was like talking about his experience. He was like, what am I watching? And I'm like, damn, what is this? But hey,
what is this?
I guess I'll try it one night,
No,
one day.
It's not. It's on Netflix, and I love movies, man. I love watching every movie. I'm not a huge fan of Justin Long, except for like Waiting, but Genesis Rodriguez, who is the actress that plays Justin Long's girlfriend, is absolutely gorgeous. So there's parts of the movies where you don't care what's happening because she's on screen and she is stunning. So that's one good thing. The Johnny Depp stuff is also really good, and some of the stuff with the guy who plays the serial killer walrus guy, I guess, is awesome. Some of the stuff is, when they get into it, is really, really fucking cool. I enjoyed it. But it's also the balls that they had to make a movie based on that. That's like if me and you just sat here and just broke down everything that was going to happen in like a time traveling Homeboys fucking feature. You know?
It hit my my favorite genre of movies is horror and sci-fi and all that. It did touch that my little radar and made me think of like Human Centipede just a little bit.
Yeah, it has a little element of that. It has a little bit of that.
Feeling.
It's got a little bit of that. You hit it right where it has a little bit of misery in it, and it's got a lot of good stuff in it. But I think that the best thing about it is the fact that they were like, it reminded me of when Ty had his studio and for some reason they were leaving at the end of the month, and he's like, look, we got 30 days left in here. I'll give you 2 or 3 days, pick the days, and you can have the studio and you can film whatever you want. And I was like, fuck it. All right, what are we going to film? I was just looking at my little fucking list. The 2 a.m. burrito, I guess you could say, are
the list of movies,
the docket or whatever you call it. You know, this is our fucking whatever. And I was like, what are we going to film? And I was like, oh, we could film Alien Story. I was like, I better fucking finish that script, or we can do something for this movie, or we can do a scene from this. And it was just like, let's just figure something out and make it. So I think the thing that I love the most about Tusk is that it got made, that they were kind of open about what they were doing, and that they came up with it as a collaborative force on the podcast that they were doing. And obviously, I love Kevin Smith, so obviously, I just love that he was able to do that, and how he can make a movie like that for $2 million.
And grab Johnny.
Get Johnny Depp. I guess maybe it was because I think their daughters are friends. Johnny Depp's daughter is in it, and so is Kevin Smith's daughter. So, and Johnny Depp has some strong DNA, because his daughter looks exactly like you would expect Johnny Depp's daughter to look. All right, so I'll knock these two out, because I know that if I don't, I'll forget about it. Another two movies okay, maybe you can watch a couple of them so we can discuss next time. And the movie that I watched was Mojave, another one that's available on Netflix from 2015. I keep going back to, I think there's a bunch of movies for 2014, 15, 16 that I missed, or maybe they just weren't released widely enough, and now they're popping up on Netflix and stuff like that. It was written by Hulk Hogan, which is, I was just trying to see if that piqued Kenneth's interest. It was written by Hulk Hogan. No, it wasn't written by Hulk Hogan. It was, but there's a character who plays like this drifter that meets this other guy. Basically, these two guys meet in the desert one night. One of them's out there just because he crashed his car, and he's a survivalist, but he kind of just is sitting out there and with a fire and stuff in the desert, kind of kind of getting his mind right. And he meets this other sort of drifter, kind of homeless vagabond type, right? That sort of lives in the desert. And basically their lives continue to intersect. But Oscar Isaac is in it, and from Star Wars. And every line that he says, or either starts or ends with "brother," he's like, "Well, I guess we met under weird circumstances, brother," or, "Well, brother, it's gonna be." That's why I said it was written by Hulk Hogan, because the dialogue seemed very
Brotherish.
Brother, hey brother, hey brother. Well, that's just not the way it's gonna end, brother. It was a choice. I mean, I don't know if that was something that was just like specifically written into the script and like, no, you can't change it. That's how I want it. Or I mean, I think a director could make a call on that. Or maybe it's the actor's choice, But the movie was, pretty interesting in terms of like a slow burning sort of keeping up sort of this. One of them's this very famous actor, and the other guy is this fucking homeless dude, and they sort of have a beef in the desert, and they just sort of, try to outmaneuver each other in a way. So, I mean, the acting and stuff was good. The visuals kept me interested. Mark Wahlberg is in it. And I watched it this week, and it just sort of hit me as, I mean, that's a reaction I have to a lot of movies, because I can sit through even bad movies. But
You have the squeaking doors effect.
yeah, let me isolate that so that we can use it in the next horror movie. No, okay, never mind. So Mojave. But the other thing that I've been recently, because they released Uncut Gems on Netflix, which I was trying to catch up on Safdie brothers movies, and Uncut Gems is the main one that they become sort of famous for. They made a movie called Good Time, 2017, and they are from Queens, my hometown, and they're a couple of brothers that make movies. And they also, you might have seen, they have a thing on YouTube with Adam Sandler, where they have like this little short movie that they sort of shot guerrilla style, where it's Adam Sandler plays like a Times Square sort of robot kind of person, and he has this beef with this other robot, and it's, they're sort of like trying to fight each other. I don't know, it's weird. But I sort of started thinking about their movies, Uncut Gems, because all their movies sort of keep, the two movies that I've seen by them, because I haven't gone back and gotten through all their, sort of filmographies, but Uncut Gems and Good Time
Good Time was 2017, and it's about the after effects of this two brothers. And then Benny Safdie plays one of the two bank robbers, and the aftermath of like a bank robbery gone wrong. And Robert Pattinson, who's going to be the new Batman, is in it. From your favorite series, Twilight. And no, to answer your previous question, no, I don't know where your. To answer your previous question, Kenny, no, I don't know where your Twilight DVDs are. I didn't sell them on eBay. I didn't throw them out. Okay, so you keep looking for your Twilight DVDs. And your Team Jacob shirt. I don't have your Team Jacob shirt. I don't.
Team Jacob for life.
But I would call them the anti-Terrence Malick. Terrence Malick, a director known for one of the ballsiest moves of all time, which is he directed a movie that was very well received, Badlands, in 1970s. And he sort of had this aura of a director that kind of would only work once in a while. So you saw The Thin Red Line, right? It came out around the same time that Saving Private Ryan. So yeah, they were both World War II movies that came out around the same. I think it was even the same year. And they both were very well done war movies. The only problem is that, not the problem, is that Terrence Malick basically told people, I will direct this movie, but I will direct it in sequence, which is the most expensive and inconvenient way to direct a movie, because that means you can't hop around and shoot based on locations that you have and kind of make it so that's the most efficient way to shoot a movie. You want to shoot the movie in a way where we shoot scene 1, day 1, scene 2, scene 3 in order, no matter what. He wanted to shoot the film in sequence to be true to the events of it. And that meant going back and forth for locations, et cetera, et cetera. Go ahead.
Simply put, shoot based on logic. Based on logic.
That's how normal people do it, right?
Normal people.
Yeah.
Yes.
But he said, I'm fucking Terrence Malick. I directed Badlands, and if I shoot this movie, we're going to shoot it in sequence, which means scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, we go back and forth between locations, whatever the fuck it takes. That's how I'm shooting it.
Non-logical.
So you have to have balls to make a 3.5-hour movie that you shot like that, and he did. I love the movie, and it was inspiration to a lot of the stuff, like a lot of the dream sequences and stuff for The Bicycle Thief. These sort of long, drawn out, and it's literally part of The Thin Red Line is just a character reciting a letter or a poem, and just visuals of these islands during the World War II, and it's just poetry to video to poetry, basically. And even though they might seem boring to some filmmakers, to me, I love that shit. The Safdie brothers are like the complete opposite. They don't kind of have any. They do have some sort of drawn out shots, but the pacing, the Terrence Malick just sort of eases you in, and you sort of get into this flow of the movie, and then occasionally there are these battles, and then there's stuff, and then there's more, So it's a feeling. But Safdie brothers, there's just constant action, movement from the next to the next to the next. The stakes keep getting higher for the characters. They keep adding more and more problems. There's never a moment where they're at rest. And even when they're at rest, something is happening that's fucking up their day. And the pacing that they're able to maintain for like an hour and a half movie, to be able to keep upping the stakes, more and more, adding more to it, and it sort of puts you enthralled into the movie. I had already seen Uncut Gems, but I was like, oh, it's new on Netflix. I'll rewatch it, if anything, for the podcast. But the pacing and Adam Sandler's really good in it, and Robert Pattinson and Benny are really good in Good Time. So I recommend both of them that are on Netflix. Uncut Gems, which is really well, it got the praise that it deserved, and Adam Sandler got the praise that he deserved for a very good role. And Good Time, which is the movie from a couple of years ago, that's both of them are worth a watch. So you check those out, and then we can go over it.
I seen Uncut Gems.
You seen Uncut Gems?
Yeah.
What did you think?
It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
It was great. I
Yeah,
really
no,
liked his performance. Yeah, I mean,
KG was in it. He was good.
that was
Your favorite Boston player of all time?
the feeling that it without spoiling too much, it just really gave me that feeling like what's going on. Like I remember feeling like I don't
Almost nervous but
know.
excited.
Yeah, and hit that one guy, the what's his name? The guy who played in
Come here,
no, the guy who played in
oh, his friend, his
the guy who played in that one movie with the sunken place and Jordan Peele's movie,
Get Out.
Get Out. He played in Get Out. The main,
Oh yeah,
his partner.
he played the guy from Brooklyn. That was
Yeah.
that was the
I was like, I didn't know what to think of him. I'm like, is he betraying him? Is he not? Like, and then at one point I was like, suspect of KD, and I was like, what's going on? And I was like, there was so much going on in that movie. It really kept me like wanting to know more and wanting to see what happens next.
no, absolutely. It's worth a watch. It definitely, like I said, I kind of viewed him as the anti Terrence Malick in terms of their style. Because they're making the movie in a very specific way, and it is to kind of elicit this very real kind of put you in. They really put you in the protagonist feel because, even though it has like a weird ending, it's still it has a non Hollywood sort of ending. Spoiler alert. Lakeith Stanfield is who you were talking about from Get Out. He plays sort of a handler of NBA players that brings people to Adam Sandler's diamond shop in hopes of selling him the fake Rolexes or something that he has at the store. And Adam Sandler is this sort of degenerate gambler that's sort of trying to stay ahead of, the big, for lack of a better word, because he owes money. Jewish mafia is involved. It's a whole thing, but it's brilliantly put together in their shooting style it's just really cool. I just really like the way they make movies and that they're able to sort of create that sort of tense feeling while I watch. I like movies that make me feel a certain type of way, and that's definitely one of them that did.
Question. I hope this doesn't really spoil anything for people, but that one particular guy that was really persistent about getting his money that Adam Sandler character owed him.
Yeah, the enforcer for the Jewish mafia.
No, not the main enforcer. Like just that one dude that was kind of annoying. He kept popping around and.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay. Are you? Because afterwards, after watching that movie, every time I think about it, I always think about that guy, and I wonder what he's like doing. I wonder if he still wants his money or like I'm still thinking about that dude. Like you ever?
Well, one cool thing that I saw was if you look at it from his girlfriend's perspective, the movie, then it's the movie's about her.
Yeah.
And coming up at the end. You know what I mean? So that's another good thing about how they make is that there are 5 or 6 main characters in the movie besides Adam Sandler, and they're all very important to the story. And they're all very clearly defined by what their goals are. Even like these players that keep popping up.
I just find it funny for me, just on my own personal time, that guy with that such small role, like keeps made an impression on me.
He's like, hey, it's a $500 Gucci shirt, brand new. Take it. The guy's like, I don't want that.
Oh man, that was great.
Yeah. Oh, look at this. This is an opal. And I was like, oh my god, this is so. The pacing of it. I can't explain it any other way. But I wanted to end by giving you, because I know you watch a lot of anime, and I've done this before when I did it with Ty, or I've done it with Sophia, where since I'm always sort of the one that's saying, here's what I watched, and this is why you should watch it, and you got, you know what I mean. I always sort of try to turn it around. So since I know you're a fan of anime, and I'm somebody that loves animation, but not necessarily anime.
Okay.
I always say the only anime that I remember is an anime cartoon that was about a guy who would turn into a panda when he drank. I don't know if that even qualifies it as an anime or is like a weird ass But I remember when I was in Colombia, there was this anime that was translated from like Japanese to Spanish, and it was about this guy that would get drunk and turn into a panda. That's the only anime I really ever paid attention to. I never paid. What's the main one with Goku and all that shit?
Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball Z. I maybe watched 5 minutes total. I don't think I've ever watched a full episode. And I had. So as a segment, thought we could do like, This Week in Anime or something like that. So you could give us some notes on some of the stuff that's out there. But to start that off, as somebody who has never watched any anime, this is kind of goes back to our question about what's the correct order to watch certain filmographies or stuff in. But for somebody who hasn't watched anime that's sort of open to at least putting their toe in the water, what is the correct order from your perspective of the different anime series that are out there that somebody could binge, and where would you start somebody off?
First things first, lost my track of mind, but let's see, fuck. Yep.
This is where I'll pause the video and then just have you pick up later on so you sound smart.
Yeah, hold on. What was I gonna say?
You got a virgin anime mind. You have a decent of the types of movies I like.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Well, first things first. A lot of people, what anime for a lot of people is an escape, just like comic books and all that stuff in the Marvel universe.
Don't stall. Tell me what to watch.
What?
Hey, go ahead. My bad.
First things first. Anime is an escape. It's a way to get out of your reality and all that good stuff. That's one of my reasons why I love anime and enjoy it. When people ask me that question, I've been asked that question so many times, and I'm just like, every time, like, how many animes I watch and all this other stuff. And for me, I go even deeper in it. Like, I'm like, it depends on the person and like who they are, and I'm like, okay, I know you would like that one, and I know you would like that one. So it's really hard to hit that on the head. But I would say for people who are like horror fans, who like really like vampire movies,
fans of horrors. I mean, like, you're not a fan of horror fans.
Horror, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Horror fans, if they like scary movies and blood and guts and all that stuff. A really good vampire anime is Hellsing. Is one of the best vampire movies ever. Black Butler.
Movie or a series?
Series. It's a series. It's a lot of action, a lot of blood, a lot of cool vampire stuff going on in that one. You're definitely gonna love that one if you start there.
Hellsing.
Hellsing is that one. Of course. Well, no, I'm not gonna say that. Dragon Ball Z or anything. Start there.
I don't want to watch Dragon Ball Z.
No, you don't want to start there because it's like
I just don't want to watch it at all.
It's older.
It's not interesting.
It's older now. It's such an older anime. But I mean,
I'm okay with not seeing that ever the same way I'm okay with never seeing these other stuff that I've never seen. I've never seen one episode of that British show, Professor or Inspector. What is it called? The guy that time traveling doctor. What is it called?
British show, time traveling doctor.
With the fucking cordis or the fucking telephone booth, and then they keep changing the main actor.
Oh, Doctor Who or something?
Doctor Who, yeah. I never watched Doctor Who. I never watched Lost. I never watched...
you have all these Lost things.
I've never watched one episode of Lost. Somebody gave me that.
I like Lost.
I've never watched Lost. I've never watched How I Met Your Mother. I've never watched... those are the main ones. I never watched Freaks and Geeks either for some reason. But I don't want to watch Lost. I don't want to watch Freaks and Geeks. I do want to watch Freaks and Geeks at some point, but I don't want to watch Dragon Ball. So, Hellsing, what else?
My favorite anime is probably... two of my favorite animes is Bleach and One Piece.
Cowboy Bebop?
Cowboy Bebop is great. is an amazing.
I think
anime.
I might have watched a couple of Cowboy Bebops because they used to be on on Adult Swim late at night that had like Cowboy Bebop coming up, and I'd be like up late and just like fuck it, let it play.
There's some really good new ones out on Netflix called like Seven Deadly Sins. That one's really, really popular. People love that one. Another one of my favorites is what was that called? I forget the name of that one right now.
But yeah, so I'm gonna take a couple of those.
There's so many, bro.
I'm gonna pick a couple of the ones that you said, and I'll pick one and I'll start watching and see how far I can last, and then get back to you.
One more thing, I always say, just like I always say, everybody should take an acting class or a theater class, just because, and also be like a waiter or waitress in the world. I feel like everybody should all watch an anime, because anime, you can take a lot from it. It's a lot of lessons you can learn and stuff like that you can just take from it.
And this is why you want to learn Japanese, so you can.
No, I just want to learn Japanese because
You want to hear them and then you want to understand them.
I don't want to do subs anymore.
Yeah. That's the same way I feel about Japanese porn. I want to be. What are they saying?
Trying to get that reaction out of me, aren't you?
What are they saying? Why is that newswoman being covered? All right, never mind. So that's the episode. That's the podcast this week. Extra long, Riot edition, I guess you could say. I might separate and put that separately, and then 2 different clips. I don't know. What I am going to do is I'm going to set it up so that I want to put down the timestamps for when different topics are on, so people can jump around and stuff and shit. I don't have to scrub. But thanks everybody for listening and watching. Remember that it's not on iTunes or Spotify yet. If you want to subscribe to the feed, it is on Podbean. You can search for it, and or also keep watching the video portions on YouTube. Make sure you give us a like if you're watching this on YouTube. Take a moment to subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and we will try better next time. All right, Kenny, we're out.